COP28 drew its curtains last week, ending more than a week of talks with global leaders and environmentalists on ways to address the climate crisis. In attendance was Mogesh Sababathy from UNICEF, who shared with us what Malaysians youth aspire when it comes to tackling climate change and building a more sustainable future.
At UNICEF Malaysia, we've hosted several engagements, including the last Youth Aspirations to Action Dialogue that was organized just a few weeks before COP28 in collaboration with the EU delegation to Malaysia and supported by Amanah Lestari Alam, where we invited youth advocates from all around the country to gather their perspectives and insights on climate action. What else is needed? Have we been doing enough? And we also gathered some of their recommendations for the policy and decision makers. And what we could see is that they have expressed the urgency for a just transition to renewable energy. They want it to be done faster. Establishing local funding mechanism for youth groups to implement environmental initiatives, to be supporting grassroots level movements as well, addressing the long-term need for quality education and the need for support for youth climate advocates who represent their communities to engage more directly with decision makers at various levels. And these messages, these recommendations were then compiled into a youth aspirations document, and then it was handed over to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability at the Malaysian Pavilion at COP28 during the Multi-Level Action Day of the 9th of December.
Beyond COP28, Mogesh hopes for more inclusive climate policies in Malaysia that cater to youth and children's needs. He also urged for more youth representation in the climate policy-making process and better educational programs on climate risk preparedness and mitigation.
As for what we would like to see now after COP28 is that Malaysia to remain committed, and that Malaysia's climate policies and plans also need to incorporate more of children and youth needs and perspectives, including in the National Adaptation Plan, the Nationally Determined Contributions, the NDCs. The reason being is, we want to make sure that we want to mainstream child sensitivity to ensure that climate policies, legislations and initiatives are child sensitive and include targeted commitments for children and young people in various sectors, including health, water and disaster risk reduction. And we also want to see more youth representation in decision making at decision making level, where we want to encourage more and more youth dialogues and involve young people in decision making processes to ensure that their perspectives and their views and opinions and ideas are considered and incorporated into climate policies, like I said earlier. We're also looking at disaster preparedness programs in schools to make sure that we can strengthen disaster preparedness programs in among children and young people to become more resilient to climate related risk. And this comes along with climate education as well, to enhance their knowledge, the children and young people to be aware of what's actually happening around them, and to also focus on topics including climate resilience, mitigation and adaptation, and how young people can play a part in helping with the government to making sure that they can also contribute as much as they can within their capacity to also help to reduce the impacts of climate change.